if you're like me, you spent the last week living and breathing Halo Reach, but the world moves on and there's more games to play. Released on September 7th for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PC, and Wii, Beenox and Activision Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions puts you in the shoes of not one, but 4 different versions of our friendly neighborhood hero, and it's actually pretty fun. I know that some of the Spider-Man games of the past weren't too well received, but Shattered Dimensions kicks some ass and they actually got it right. So if you're looking for a new adventure platformer to waste some time on, let's check out Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions.
Hey there, true believers! Watch as once again frightening forces are at work in our world, ready to wreak havoc with our very existence. Who or what prowls the halls of Empire State University after dark?
Like most Spider-Man adventures, the story in Shattered Dimensions is not all that deep. It's simple and really resembles something you'd see in a series of Spider-Man comics. The game opens with Spider-Man arriving just in time to prevent Mysterio from stealing an ancient artifact of power from a local museum. Of course, after he's talked a fair amount of trash, Spider-Man tries to retrieve the tablet and in the process, shatters it into a bunch of fragments that get sent spiraling into other dimensions. Madam Web shows up, revealing to Spider-Man that this is actually the Tablet of Order and Chaos, the most powerful artifact of all artifacts, and that he's done something terrible in shattering it. Each fragment contains immense power, and if put in the wrong hands, would amplify its owner's powers, obviously resulting in terrible things. Each of the alternate realities containing the fragments have their own version of Spider-Man, including The Amazing Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man, Noir Spider-Man, and Spider-Man 2099. The 4 of you have to work together to retrieve these fragments before the various villains of the different comic book series get their hands on them.
Whoa, slow down. Other realities? Other me's?
Yes, I have explained our dire situation to them. They will be your allies in this quest.
But I'm the most charming, right?
You must gather all...
Somebody knock him out! Smash him! No hitting!
Shattered Dimensions' 14 levels took me around 9.5 hours to complete on the normal difficulty. Each level is played by a single Spider-Man and revolves around collecting a fragment shard from a villain of that dimension. Now, I wasn't all that into the Spider-Man comics when I was little. I was more into the X-Men personally, so I didn't instantly recognize all of the game's villains, but they are all quite interesting, that is, except for Deadpool. He was my favorite comic book character of all time, and it was neat to see him in a game like this, but he was portrayed as a witty and enthusiastic game show host, and that really turned me off. But the level redeemed itself when I realized the enemies I was defeating were his fanboys, and that's just hilarious. As you play, you'll have access to the Web of Destiny, a menu that tracks your progress on the game's 180 different challenges, some of which can be quite tough to accomplish. There's also a bonus gallery that contains concept art, figurines, alternate costumes, and movies that are unlocked by beating the levels on various difficulties. So if you don't complete all of the challenges or want to unlock all of the content on various difficulty settings, you've got some nice replayability as there's no multiplayer content. Plus, the game is just fun to play, so even if you were to complete it all, you'll still likely want to play through it again. Each of the 4 Spider-Mans have their own playstyle, and the design of the levels reflect and exploit that, and each of the 14 levels are all quite different from the previous ones, offering you a variety of gameplay experiences. The Amazing Spider-Man is very agile, and his levels revolve around platforming and exploiting agility in combat. Noir Spider-Man is very dark, and his levels revolve around stealth gameplay and silent takedowns, as being spotted typically leans to sure death. Spider-Man 2099 is very fast, and his levels exploit his accelerated vision ability that essentially slows down time around him so he can whoop up on all the enemies. Finally, Ultimate Spider-Man is just plain powerful, as he still wears the Venom suit and has a rage mechanic that allows him to decimate mass amounts of enemies. As you complete challenges and collect spider emblems, you'll gain a form of currency that can be used to unlock character upgrades like additional health and a larger energy bar, as well as combat upgrades which consist of just tons of different moves for each of the different Spider-Mans to utilize. You've got a grab, light, and heavy attack, as well as the ability to shoot various types of webs from your wrists to incapacitate foes or swing through the levels, and with that, the controls actually handle wonderfully. it feels very naturally swinging around and taking out enemies. While you do unlock a lot of different moves and combos, some of the later levels do start to feel a bit button mashy though, as you're simply taking on hundreds of enemies, and it's not uncommon to rack up a 100 hit combo. A new first-person melee system has also been introduced for many of the boss fights that get you up close and personal with your foe, which I thought was a pretty cool addition. There is just enough of it that it stays interesting and doesn't feel repetitious when it happens. All in all, the gameplay is extremely fun and very addictive. It just feels great to swing around the levels and beat the crap out of the enemies.
I got a game for you to play.
Marco? Marco?
Polo!
While I don't feel that Peter Parker of the movies completely represents the Spider-Man of the comic books, the various characters you play in Shattered Dimensions absolutely do, as you spout out all kinds of witty chatter and trash talk to all of your enemies as you fight them. With that, there's a different voice actor for each Spider-Man, and each one of them are absolutely wonderful, including even Neil Patrick Harris as the Amazing Spider-Man.
I'm the Amazing Spider-Man of the 4 in the game, and so I have the lion's share of all of the dialogue.
Let's get a good look at that gorgeous mug. Don't be so bashful.
What I found even cooler though was that Stan Lee himself lends his voice as the narrator through the story, and he's obviously instantly recognizable.
Greetings, true believers. Stan Lee here, welcoming you to the latest harrowing adventure of our...
Another great feature is that each of the different Spider-Man universes has their own look and feel. The Amazing Spider-Man's cel-shaded graphics look a lot to me like Borderlands. 2099 is a lot more realistic and Unreal Engine 3 looking. Noir is very dark and to me very beautiful. And finally, Ultimate has a distinct comic book or cartoony look to it. I thought the presentation was beautiful all around and thoroughly enjoyed my entire playthrough.
Imagine what he might become with even more magical might at his command.
I think we're all in for a pretty intense fall with the huge amount of great video games coming out. We've already seen Halo Reach blow away the charts, but I hope some of you out there will still give Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions a try. While the two games are not related by any means or not even in the same genre, I know it's tough to decide which games to buy when you can only afford one. If you can't afford this bad boy right now, it's at least worth a rent. After X-Men Origins Wolverine, Batman Arkham Asylum, and now Shattered Dimensions, are we beginning to see a new trend of comic book heroes coming back from the graves to actually make good comic book or movie-based video games? Only time will tell. What was your favorite version of Spider-Man? Leave your questions and comments below. Check out the full write-up and screenshots over at ZeitgeistGameReview.com. Stay up to date by following me on Twitter and Facebook, and make sure to check out all of the other great gaming entertainment on the Game Station. Don't forget to subscribe and press the thumbs up button. Thanks for watching.